Hi folks, Bob Reese with the Guides Forecast, giving you the fishing report for the Lower Columbia River and Ocean for Tuesday, August 11th. Let's just knock out the ocean program. It's been epic out there the last 2 days. Been a few guides fishing the red line, south of the red line, 75 foot of water between buoys 4 and buoys 2 and buoy 2, and even south of that. Once you get past the jaws a little bit, the tips of the jetty, the swell lays down. Now tomorrow is not going to be pretty. We'll cover that in the forecast for the ocean fishermen, that is. But just knocked down drag out coho fishing. A very good grade of coho in the ocean right now. Again, they just waxed them south of the red line today. So they're coming. That was the reason why I stayed close to buoy 10 for a good part of the flood tide today, hoping to wrangle some of those coho that were in the adjacent ocean areas. That incoming tide, especially as strong as it was today, creates a vacuum that pushes those coho into the river. And oftentimes we look for the first batch of coho to come in with the first rip that comes through at buoy 10. There was coho just before the rip came through and a few coho just after the rip. There was a 6-degree difference between ocean water and the river water today. And the coho were snapping pretty good. We actually only hooked about 5 coho for the first hour and a half incoming tide out there at the buoy. Not many people were holding out there on the line. Everybody still got Chinook on the mind. For obvious reasons, it's time for them to show in good numbers, and they are showing. But keep that in mind that after you get done fishing the last tail end of that outgoing tide, there should be some coho action if you want to stay close to the buoy 10 deadline there on the first part of the flood. At least wait until that first rip comes through. Chinook fishing today. There were some biters on the last part of the tide. There were a few guys that started early and got a few bites both above the bridge and in the church drift. But as we've talked several times before, when that tide really starts rolling out and those baits are going downstream at 5 or 6 miles an hour, those fish don't have a huge interest in chasing those baits down. So you're just not going to get a lot of bites. So folks, a plug for the learning opportunities we have for the buoy 10 fishery. We have a tech report on the buoy 10 fishery. We have 2 different webinars that you're able to purchase to learn more about the buoy 10 patterns and how to best, most efficiently fish down here. Go to our shop tab on the website and scroll through, look for the webinars. Buzz Ramsey and myself did one this year, and I did one solo last year. Both are really great resources on how to best effectively fish the buoy 10 fishery as well as the ocean. High tide bite, not impressive. There were a few fish over on the Washington side close to high tide, the better action being the closer you get to high tide over there. The humps did not produce well on the last part of incoming tide over there. We shot over to the Oregon side. The winds were quite tolerable today. Even here on the Oregon side, they were pretty tolerable at high tide, and we didn't stick around for the first part of outgoing tide, but I was less than impressed with what we saw on the top end of the tide, both on the Oregon and the Washington side. I did hear, however, later in the day there were some fish caught in front of Hammond late on the incoming tide. So, you know, persistence pays, right? So stick it out. And more Chinook showing up every day. We certainly saw a lot of them on the screen today, and had some decent action. We probably only had about 6 or 7 opportunities. The anchovies, the whole rigged anchovies behind the flashers fished the best. My back corner rod with 10 ounces of lead out about 26 strips was unusually the best rod in the boat today. But there were other guides that did quite well, just putting them down about 25 foot with 16 ounces of lead. There were some boats that did quite well fishing relatively shallow on the flood tide. So don't overlook that strategy. Chinook and Steelhead members, your forecast for tomorrow, August 12th, is coming up next. Good luck if you get out fishing, folks.